Hello, and welcome to today's episode or this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Today, I'm very excited because today's episode is in direct response to a listener question that we received on our voice message at besttodayguide.com/voice. As a reminder, you can always go to besttodayguide.com/voice to leave us a voice message with your question, with feedback from, or thoughts on an episode, besttodayguide.com/voice. And that is where this week's question comes from. So let's listen in on it.
Hey, Shantae, how did you avoid the desire to do more when leaving your 9 to 5 to run your side hustle or business full time? Did you mentally have trouble with only working on one business at that point and grieving and leaving behind that part of your life?
So the question is, how did you avoid the desire to do more when leaving your 9 to 5 to run your business full time? Did I have trouble mentally with working only on one business and grieving, leaving behind the old part of your life? And so what I want to talk about today is fighting the desire to do more, because I think that's really what she's asking here. How do you fight the desire to do more? And for context, for those of you who don't know, prior to being a business owner, being the owner of Best Today, being here on the podcast, I was an attorney in private practice. I left the practice of law in 2015 and never looked back, not even for a nanosecond. And when I left, I was working on my first business, which is called Because of Zoe Designs, a hair bow company. And then that business led to other businesses along the way. And that's the very abridged version of what got me here. But just to let you know, when she asked about leaving, quote unquote, 9 to 5, she's referring to when I went from practicing law to being a full-time entrepreneur. So that's just to give you a little context to the question. And the question is asking, when you're used to working long hours or having to do a lot, how do you avoid the desire to do more when you leave that environment, and do you then grieve? And did I grieve the old part of my life? And so I'm going to talk about my experience, and then I'm going to bring it home with talking about you and all of us globally. So I'll share, because the question did ask about me, my experience, but then also let's talk about this as it relates to all of us. So in short, I did not grieve the old part of my life, and that I was very intentional about what I wanted, right? I didn't want to continue working at a law firm, and I didn't find any legal work that excited me more than doing my own thing with my own company. So when I made the decision, as scary as it may have been, which it wasn't scary when I look at it now, but that could just be me talking, being almost 7 years removed from it. But, I didn't grieve it at all because I willingly walked away. Now, can you grieve something or someone that you willingly walk away from? Sure. I just did not. Because it's like grieving the abuser who cared nothing for you and only wanted what he or she could get from you. I'm not grieving that, right? So I grieved nothing about the law firm life or even practicing as an attorney. Absolutely zero, nothing. Now, I missed some coworkers, but those relationships that I wanted to maintain, I did. I did struggle. I will tell you where my struggle did lie, with identity for a few months. Introducing myself as a lawyer who blah, blah, blah. I'd say, oh, hi, I'm Shantae Grant. I'm a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Whenever anyone asks, what do you do? I felt like I had to maintain that part of my identity because I had worked so hard for it, and that it said something that was important about me. Now, I grew out of that with more self-awareness. And when I realized that the only reason I was clinging to it was for this identity purpose, I don't need a job or a title or an accomplishment to validate my existence or me being in any particular room or space. So there's that. And you don't either, right? You don't need any job or title or accomplishment to validate your existence. So pick that gem up and put that in your pocket. But that's something I had to learn over time once I realized what I was doing and why I was doing it, right? Which is why it's so important for us to take the time to be introspective about the things we do and say and look into the why of it. Why did I continuously introduce myself telling you about something that I used to do? It makes no sense, right? It was an identity issue that I quickly resolved. But for the person who is listening, who is grieving a part of your past, or if you're about to make a transition, I want to ask you, why are you making this change? or why did you make the change if you've already made it, right? Remember what it is you want. And if you're taking a step toward a better future, that is where your focus is. Put your focus there so that you can give and be your all in the present. Yesterday is gone and today needs you to be present so that tomorrow can be even better. So getting clear on what you really want does help you with this if it's a problem for you. When I'm living in what I want or making progress and movement toward what I want, I can be content in that even if I'm not at the desired destination, I'm in movement toward it, right? And I'm not moving away from it. And I don't have to long for the things from the past that I no longer want if I willingly walked away from them. So that's the first, that was part of her question about grieving the old life. The reason that I didn't is because one, I was intentional on the front end. Two, I knew exactly what I wanted. And three, I had somewhere else I was trying to go. And my focus is on what's in front of me and not what's behind me. Now, let's talk more about the first part of her question, which is how do you avoid the desire to do more? Because that do more monster is lurking all up and down the streets of this world, y'all. So here's the thing. Initially, when I first left the practice of law and I'm home, I'm working full time for myself, I didn't fight that desire to do more at all. I went from work I didn't love to work I loved. So I wanted to give it all of my time. I was working very long hours, Monday through Friday, because at the time, our childcare schedule was set up as if I worked my old job. So I had time. So 5 days a week. So I worked and I worked and I worked. But now that I'm on the other side, here is what I have learned. Benefit from me having to walk the wrong or the harder, the more challenging, and I would say the not good path so that you don't have to. I've done that for all of us. So now you don't have to do it, okay? I have seen the fruit of doing more in terms of doing too much, needing to work and work and work and work and do and do and do. Like I've seen what the fruit of that looks like. And I've seen the fruit of doing less with intention. One type of fruit is better. Which one do you think it is? It's the fruit of doing less with intention. For me, doing so much led to doing too much, right? And I had overworked myself, which didn't take the joy out of what I was doing. Hear me, I still loved what I was doing, but it made it feel heavy because I was doing so many things each day. And initially, it was just me doing all the things. I didn't notice that it was consuming my evenings, my weekends until it did. And when it did, I sat down and did exactly what I teach you to do. I assessed, how did I get here? How do I feel? The answer was busy. If you've ever heard me tell the story of me having an awakening about busy, I didn't want to feel that way. I hated that busy was the word that I used to describe my life. And so how do you get over the desire to do more when that more is becoming too much? At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I am currently a stay-at-home mom and a military spouse. I am also somebody who absolutely loves planners and has always been trying to find things that will make me more productive in my days. It really wasn't until the Best Today guide that I knew that something's been missing. I've been using the Best Today guide since September, and the things that I have found that I loved most about it were, in the previewing of my week, I have an area to where I can clear my mind. So anything that I see that's upcoming that week that maybe caused me stress or anxiety, I now have a space to sit here and write it down and feel better and be able to move on. I also like the section where we have the no more distractions. So any of those little things that just come up randomly that you just have a place to write it down. So now it's out of your mind and onto paper. Another thing that I've loved about the Best Today guide is in the nighttime section when we're planning our day for the following day, is that something I never thought about was my mental emotional health. I've always thought about physical health and eating correctly when I did my planning, but never really thought about my mental emotional health. And now that Shantae has that included, that is something I have been able to focus on that I never did before. One of probably my favorite things that may sound silly is in the daytime section, are what are the self-destructing things that I do that I need to avoid? What I've liked about this is that I've actually looked at myself and called myself out on things. I'm taking the things that I know that I've done that I shouldn't be doing, and I'm writing it down, acknowledging it, and saying, okay, I'm not going to do this. Let's move on so I can be my best self for myself and for my family. Not only has Shantae created such a wonderful Best Today guide, she's also created a wonderful community for us. Also within that community, not only do we have a great supportive group of women, but Shantae has also created additional resources for us. I hope you have found this helpful, and I hope you want to get the Best Today guide, and I hope to see you in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your experience and your story. And like Jennifer, I hear so many times that self-destructive section really is the thing that helped so many people realize the control and the power you actually do have when it comes to being proactive, being intentional, being your best, and really acknowledging, calling those things out, how much they help you to see the power and control you have, and how the change in most of the times with your circumstances starts with change with yourself. And so thank you again, Jennifer, for sharing your experience, your story of what your Best Today looks like. If you want to join Jennifer and the thousands of other women who use the Best Today guide to be proactive and intentional with their time, visit besttodayguide.com. That's besttodayguide.com. And don't forget to check out our brand new Best Today starter bundle, which not only gives you the Best Today guide, but it also gives you Right Now routine, Clean One Room, our bonus download with routine examples, and your first month in the membership for free. You can learn more at besttodayguide.com, and we hope to see you over in the membership and you with the Best Today guide in your hands. You stop and you be real with yourself. You're planting fruit that is bitter, and it can likely choke or harm you and change you into someone you don't want to become, right? Who are you becoming? What are you doing more for? Doing more is evidence of not having a clear direction and intention. Since you don't know what to focus on, you just do everything. Since you're not willing to set boundaries or cut something off and prune, you plant a little bit of everything. And I have found that it just is not wise. It's not healthy, and it isn't going to get you where you want to go. Understanding this, it helped me to avoid wanting to do more and doing more. Because that leads to doing too much and too many of the things, and not the right things. And right, I get to define, right? And I hope hearing these words will help you if you're on the brink of it becoming you, or if you're right there, trying to just do too much, trying to do all the things. And let me be clear, this is a message for all people. This isn't a business owner problem. This is a human problem. I see people who work for others who have this problem a lot, probably even worse than most. You take on more and more and more, volunteer for that. Sure, sign my child up for this extracurricular activity that I'm going to complain about and lose sleep over. Sure, why not? It's a mess, y'all. You have to take inventory and ask yourself, for every action, can you connect it to your vision for the future? And does it take away from your physical, mental, emotional, or financial health? Both of those questions, right? So for every action, does this action connect me to my vision for the future? And the answer could be yes there. But if the next question is, does it take away from my physical, mental, emotional, or financial health? If that's yes, then no, right? It has to be, well, both sides of those questions, or both questions are in the affirmative for you, or in the positive for you. As someone who has been on every part of the busy spectrum and team, the person who's been the president of Team Too Much, can I give you this wisdom so you don't have to learn this lesson the hard way? Stop trying to do more for the sake of doing more. Get intentional. Figure out what you want, what you have space for, what you really want to do with the hours that make up your days, and then fight like heaven to make that your reality. We're going to talk about this more in next week's episode, episode 8, because I'm talking about normal. But y'all, we have got to understand that doing more for the sake of just doing more stuff is not it. It's not how you live your best one today at a time. It's the opposite. It's not how you live a life of intention. It's the opposite. It's not how you take care of yourself. It's the opposite. What do you want? I'm going to keep asking you that question until the day I die, because every time I say it, someone needs to hear it, and it unlocks something for someone, whether it's the first time they've heard me ask it or the 103rd time they've heard me ask it. What do you want? Who do you need to be and become to get it? And what needs to be pruned and cut off that isn't a part of that? Less with intention beats doing more every single time. So to answer the listener question, I avoided doing more by seeing how all over the place doing more left me, how a lack of boundaries left me, how not feeling my best, even though I was happy and really loved what I do. Like, looking at that, the lesson here is your happiness isn't a sign that there isn't something wrong with the way you're doing things. I'm going to say that one more time. Your happiness isn't a sign that there isn't something wrong with the way you're doing things. You can be a happy, hot mess. I didn't have a problem mentally with working only on one business because there were so many facets of that one business, and I never intentionally sought to start other businesses. They were natural, organic flows from what I was doing, and I'm grateful for that because it led me here and it led me to creating Best Today. But if you are fighting the desire to do more, I want you to understand that it won't get you to where you want to go. Doing more is really you avoiding the work of being intentional about doing the one thing that actually will produce the most and best fruit for you. Being intentional takes more of forethought and attention than just living haphazardly and just doing, which is why most of the population does that. They're just like, I'm just going to wing it and figure it out and just keep doing more stuff, because that's a lot easier than being intentional and thinking and making time for thinking and being intentional. That takes more, I don't even know what the word is, unlaziness. So I want you to sit down and look at the facts. Who are you doing more for? Is it for vanity? Is it because you're winging it and you haven't taken the time to get clarity on exactly what you want and what it is you want to give your focus? Because you haven't taken the time to look at the effects on you and your life from doing so much? You know, seeing the big picture will help you. And if I can help you further, I want you to leave a follow-up question to my response here. Again, at besttodayguide.com/voice, because I know so many of you are sitting right there in the doing so much, but that doing so much is very telling. There's a reason you're doing that, and it's not a good one. So go back, listen to this episode. It's pretty short, and think through the questions that I addressed as I walk through this, and even listen, like I said, the thought process that I had, and please trust me and believe me, when you are choosing between doing more and doing less with intention, the best today side is to do less with great intention. So that's my answer to our audience question. Thank you so much for submitting that question, Carter. Until next time, please remember that you are capable and worthy of being your best one today at a time, and you have everything you need to have everything you want. So, as I like to say, go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again on the next episode. you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.